Welcome to Search for Signs. My name is Gary Willing. If this information interests you, please press the like and subscribe button and press the bell for notifications.
Hope you're doing well today. It is 9/13/2020, and it's been just a couple days since I put up my last video, and I have some questions to cover in this video. How about that? And I know I can do a good job answering it. I know I can do it. I know I can do it. Just give me a chance, Coach. I can do it. If you can dream it, you can do it. And I'm dreaming it, so there you go. All right. If you have a question about Maitreya, the Masters of Wisdom, and would like to post your question as a comment, I will do my best to answer it in the next video, or you can email me directly at searchforsigns@mail.com, and I will try to answer it in the next video as well. Now, you try saying that in one breath and see how far you can go. Whew, that took a lot. All right, now let's get on into it. A couple questions are very similar, or it's not questions, a couple comments. First one, somebody wrote, Antichrist. Okay, I don't know if that's a question mark or if that's a statement. I'm sure it's a statement from their perspective. The other one is Manbu, comes from Manbu. Maitreya is not Jesus. The Tibetan Maitreya from London is a betrayer, though he may have some spiritual development. You know, I have to say, Manbu, I have to give it to you. You're the first person to ever say Maitreya is a betrayer or the Antichrist or whatever, and then leave it on a high note. He may have some spiritual development, so we'll see. Anyway, the other comment about him being the Antichrist, we're going to talk about that too. We're going to kind of combine the two into one wonderful comment that we can address in this video. Of course, I don't take that belief. I've met Maitreya several times in my life. I've had several experiences with Maitreya where he's saved me from, let's say, falling off a ladder and almost killing myself to saving me in a car crash or something like this, which lead me to believe that there is a lot of truth to this information. But, you know, it's always there for you to consider and you to consider for yourself. If you don't think he is what I think he is, that's fine. You know, I mean, you already have all the information you know. And time will tell whether what I'm saying is correct or not. Now, I never said Maitreya was Jesus. They're two different individuals. And same thing with the Buddha and Gautama Buddha. Were two different individuals. Now, the esoteric view, which esoteric means that which is hidden, the exoteric view means that which is more widely known. Now, it's not saying that the esoteric view is always correct and the exoteric view is always wrong on something, but usually what it is, it's just another piece in the puzzle that needs to be put into place to have it kind of be truer to the truth, if that makes any sense. So, for instance, I always use this as a wonderful example because it's a great example of esoteric knowledge going into exoteric knowledge. The world has always been round, okay? And science has now proven, without a shadow of a doubt, for the vast majority of the people. Now, I always have to put this as a disclaimer. Since the internet came around, of course, now there's the flat earthers, and that's, you know, and then I don't know what other names they go by, but that's the name they are most popular, right? Where they believe the world is flat, right? Denying science, denying photographs, denying astronauts that come back from outer space. I mean, they're denying all common sense, really. But it's okay. We'll love them either way. Now, there was a time when everybody thought that the world was flat, even though the world was round. And the esoteric view of the world was that it was round. And it took centuries, maybe even more than that, before the vast majority of people started to really see that the world was round. And the science of the time tried to prove it in their own way with the limited, science that they had, and then they kind of surmised that, hey, maybe there's something to this. And then more and more people started doing it. And of course, as it started to gain notoriety, of course, then those people who believed that the world was round were labeled heretics and devil worshippers and all sorts of stuff, and a lot of them were put to death, and the information still went out there and all that kind of stuff, to where today nobody's getting put to death if they think the world is round. It's pretty much accepted by and large, right, that the world is round. And that is the difference between esoteric knowledge and exoteric knowledge. The exoteric knowledge of Jesus is that he was the one true Son of God, came into Palestine 2,000 years ago, born of the Virgin Mary, lived a sinless life, died on the cross for yours and mine and everybody else's sins. And if we don't believe in who he is, as the church postulates him to be, then you'll go to hell. That's the exoteric view of Jesus. Now, the esoteric view of Jesus was just a amazing, wonderful teacher for humanity to show people how to live. He was actually the exponent of the world teacher for the age of Pisces. Very, very advanced disciple, but never the only true Son of God. Now, I know that smacks in the face of a lot of people's beliefs, but that's the esoteric view of who he is. He is, same thing with the Buddha. The Buddha was not the Buddha. Gautama Buddha was actually what was telepathically overshadowed by the Buddha, who was in a different part of the planet at the same time. Maitreya overshadowed Jesus the same way that the Buddha overshadowed Gautama Buddha. Let's get that, let's cover that real quick. Maitreya actually worked through Jesus 2,000 years ago in Palestine. Jesus knew of his relationship with Maitreya, knew who Maitreya was, but that he did not publicly talk about it to the people of the time. Now, there were some disciples, according to the esoteric information, Peter, John, and James, I think, were the three that definitely knew. Whether anybody else knew or not, I don't know for sure. But those are the three I know for sure. Knew of his relationship with Maitreya. Maitreya worked through him for the 3 years from the baptism to the crucifixion. But the central part of the teachings of Jesus, the what you sow shall you reap, those who live by the sword, thou shall die by the sword, which he was talking about, the great law of cause and effect, or the law of karma, as they say in the East. Very similar, because they're talking about the same truth of the law of cause and effect. But the teachings of Jesus mainly were coming from Maitreya, and they were distorted over time by man. Man inserted what they wanted to put in there, took away what didn't suit their needs, and then now we got the Bible that we have today. There's still a lot of wonderful truths to the Bible. You still can learn from the Bible. You still can grow spiritually from reading the Bible and applying the knowledge and not just reading it and saying, okay, in the first reading, okay, I got it. You have to really look at it, apply it, look at it, apply it, look at it, apply it, and those kind of things. And that's where the Bible really is useful, more than anything. But sadly, the universal idea that Jesus is the one and true Son of God was actually put there not by man, but believe it or not, it actually had a nefarious reason for it. Because when you separate man from God, which is, you can't, because in truth, man and God are one and the same. We're all one. The whole universe is one. You can't separate God from man and man from God, just as you can't separate one person from another. We're all one. That's the truth of it. So it's denying truth in a way. Now, Maitreya, to say Maitreya is the betrayer, have you even heard Maitreya on TV? Have you heard him? Have you recognized him on TV? Or are you just taking somebody's word for it, like Benjamin Creme? And therefore putting your own assumptions that he is the arch deceiver or the betrayer or whatever like this. Maitreya has really never claimed to be the Christ. He's only claimed that those are names that he's referred to as. He only wants to be known as the teacher. But the question that I have, because people always say he's the Antichrist, and that, of course, is your belief, would an Antichrist figure be on TV for 10 years or more than 10 years, speaking to millions of people at a time, and not have any kind of narcissistic kind of tendencies, and would not be trying to draw more attention to themselves? I say no, but that's just me. That's just my opinion. I think it would be a bold strategy for an Antichrist figure to come out and not try to be known as something very popular. He's not trying to be known as anything. He's just trying to be known as an ordinary person right now. So my question to you, Mambu, is, have you heard Maitreya? Have you heard him speak? Have you felt his love? If you have all those three things and you still think he's a betrayer, then come back and talk to me. If you haven't, then why not have a little bit more of an open mind? Even if you still are a hardcore Christian, that's fine. Maitreya will say, still be a Christian. Don't change your beliefs. Just be a Christian who wants peace, or who wants to end hunger, or who wants justice for the world. Because when you do that, you align yourself with not only the teachings of Maitreya, but the teachings of Jesus 2,000 years ago, just more applicable to today. Now, who and what the Antichrist is, people, of course, post so many videos on YouTube that you can't really keep count about their belief that this person's the Antichrist, Trump's the Antichrist, Obama's the Antichrist, now it's Jared Kushner might be the Antichrist. I heard that Dwayne Johnson might be the Rock, the wrestler, former wrestler turned actor, is the Antichrist. It's exhausting to really try to keep up with everybody's viewpoint of this. Now, the esoteric view of the Antichrist is that the Antichrist is an energy, not an individual, and was never put into Revelation to be interpreted as an individual, but man himself has misinterpreted that teaching from John. The first time that the Antichrist energy was released into the world was actually during the time of John, and it was released through the Emperor Nero, who was one of the last few emperors of Rome. And he was the one, I think, when Rome was burning, was supposedly playing a violin. I don't know if they had the violin back at, 2,000 years ago, but apparently he was playing the violin as Rome was burning, right? He didn't care, which is kind of what's going on today, if you really look at it, with all the stuff that's going on in the world today, and our political leaders are playing the violin, so to speak. But anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. But anyway, that energy was sent out through Nero and was one of the beasts of the Bible. Then you look within the last 100 years, right, with the Axis powers of Germany, Italy, and Japan of World War II. It was re-released again through those three nefarious groups. That fulfilled the second beast in the Bible of the Antichrist. It was mainly centered through Hitler, but you can't even say Hitler was the Antichrist because it was really sent through the whole group. But he was the poster child for the Antichrist, if that makes any sense, during World War II. The beast is then, according to Revelation, chained for a time and a half, which is the age of Aquarius plus half of the age of Capricorn, and will be re-released again during that time. Now, how that will look is, the closest that I can get to it is, it will be re-released through the mental planes and not through the physical or the emotional planes like it was during World War II or during the time of Nero. But it will take the combined efforts, in the future, it will take the combined efforts of a unified humanity and the masters themselves to basically defeat that energy. But that energy is actually, it has a purpose. It's nasty, and I wouldn't like living through that time when the Antichrist's energy was sent out through the world, because it's very destructive. But what it does is it destroys the old ways of thinking and relating and allows a new way of thinking and relating to take place. It happened, like I said, during Nero. It destroyed the old ways of thinking and relating, then allowed for a Christendom to flourish, and it wouldn't have flourished had it not been for that Antichrist energy being sent out. Same thing with during World War II, where it was sent out through the Axis powers and destroyed the old ways of thinking and relating of the past, and it's eventually going to allow a new way of thinking to happen. But everybody thinks that Revelation, the end times, as they put it, is all within a few weeks, a month, a year, or whatever it happens to be. But they don't see that it could be spread out over hundreds of years. So it really needs to be looked at it like this. And as I say over and over again, and of course I'm just a person talking, you can believe whatever you want to believe, but those people who are looking for the Antichrist, scouring the internet looking for the Antichrist, are really wasting their time, because it's already been done. And when you bring it up and you look and say, hey, what do you think about Hitler being the Antichrist? I mean, he really did fill the qualities that they're looking for in a future Antichrist to come, if you really look at it. But, it's pretty clear for those who can see. But I guess, we all have to come at this in our own time, and we'll realize this in our own time. But again, Manboo, if you heard him, come back and talk to me. If you haven't heard him on TV and you're just going by what Benjamin Creme said, or maybe even what I said on my videos, then just, you don't have to say yes or no. Just believe what you believe, but want peace. That's the most important thing anyway. So hopefully that helps. All right. Now, the next comment comes from ICU. Do you see me? And this was in regards to somebody asking about any kind of political changes where will politics be totally removed in the future, I guess. And I talked about how, according to the masters, the presidency of the United States will change to a group. And this person put in there will be and I apologize for reading this if I didn't write this down right. My daughter is actually using her iPad for schoolwork, and that's how I'm able to read everybody's comments. Now I have to write them all out. So sometimes it's hard for me to read my own handwriting. So I apologize if I didn't read this or write this down exactly the way you put it. But it says, there will be a council of 12 put in place to govern, all made up of enlightened people with no hidden agendas. The day of declaration has not been set. There is still a lot more work to be done. As more respond to Maitreya, that day will near. I would say 1 to 3 years at least. It depends on all of us. The work is being done. Trust in love and truth. Thank you. I see you. Do you see me? I like that name. It's a lot better than Search for Signs. Pfft, that's a stupid name. Anyway. Now, what... And then somebody asked a question about when will Maitreya come on the World Announcement Day, and he's using he's talking about the Day of Declaration, but he's having to use, I think, Google Translate so that's how it's coming up. But this is what Benjamin Creme said in terms of the Day of Declaration. He talked about a lot of this, but I'll just kind of read this paragraph. He said, he can see there will be a window of opportunity coming up on the horizon because certain cosmic energies will be flowing and should sustain themselves for some set cycle. But is humanity ready in that window of opportunity? Are the media responsive then? What other factors we cannot even begin to imagine does he have to take into account as making up that window of opportunity? We should rid our minds of this sense of impatience. What is the date for the Day of Declaration? Maitreya himself does not know. I do not mean he has no idea, but the masters do not think in time, so it is irrelevant to set a date. What he sees is a series of windows in which all the forces which make up the statistics whereby he can judge a moment have to be taken into account. All these different things, like the state of humanity, what we do for ourselves, and especially the activities of the Lord of Materiality, the forces of chaos, who are not twiddling their thumbs. They are active as never before because they know that their time is over. As soon as Maitreya comes forward and humanity sees the masters and begin the process of reconstruction, lifting humanity above the level where they can be influenced. Through their agents, men and women in the world, some of them very well known in the media and other fields, the leaders of certain countries, certain groups of financiers who are set against this happening. Various reactionary groups, political and religious, these destructive forces work to prevent the Christ's open appearance, is what he said. So hopefully it helps. And that's coming from Maitreya's Mission, Volume 3, which is a wonderful book if you want to read it. And also, too, I just found out that Share International, through their page, is going to start doing a store. So you don't have to go through Amazon to get their books. You can just go right to Share International and get it. All right. Hopefully that is a good way of doing it. So, the 1 to 3 years, let's hope. Hopefully it's sooner than that. But, that's, I think, like I said, it's as good a guess as any. So, we'll see if it happens or not. All right. Now, the other question was, are any other masters out now? And if so, what are they doing? No, there aren't. The masters work as a group. So they know what's going on with each and every one at any moment. So there are no rogue masters out there just said, screw it, I'm going to go out there and talk to humanity. They're waiting for their leader, the master of all the masters, Maitreya, to come forward first, which he already has on TV. Okay. Once Maitreya declares himself upon the Day of Declaration, which, according to ICU to UCME, will be 1 to 3 years, according to what Ben said, Maitreya himself doesn't even know the time frame. But, I'm hoping it's 1 to 3 years, too. I'm not going to lie. But anyway, they will wait for him to come out and declare himself on that day. And then Maitreya will start to introduce them one by one by one by one. And I think it's maybe 14 or so will be introduced right away. Master Jesus will be a part of it. Of course, the master who was Paul, the master who was John. The master who was John is one of the great masters. Kudhumi is his name. The Master Paul is the Master Moria. I'm sure the Master Peter was Moria. The Master who was Paul is the Master Hilarion. The other ones that are known, the Master Akuzi, who used to be the Master Saint Germain, will be introduced out there, and then others will be introduced as well. At that point, I'm sure we'll know who the Master was behind all the writings for Benjamin Creme, because he'll be introduced as either one of those masters or a different master. Nobody knows. So the only thing that Benjamin Creme ever said about his master was he was well known within esoteric circles and was a senior member of the hierarchy. So that's all we know at this time. So maybe he is one of those other people. We just don't know, and we're not going to guess on this channel. And it's not really that important. And then the other master that would probably be introduced right away will be one of the master who wrote through Alice Bailey, the Master Djwal Khul, because they will have very specific work in terms of teaching humanity. Not so much the Master Akuzi, but who was the Master Saint Germain, but the Master Kuthumi and the Master Moria and the Master Djwal Khul and even the Master Jesus will have a very specific role in terms of educating humanity, because once the floodgates open up in terms of seeing Maitreya on TV and finally seeing, and the way that the way that he declares himself as Maitreya telepathically for every adult over the age of 14 to hear it inwardly in their own head, to feel his energy even physically, to have, hundreds, maybe even hundreds of thousands, maybe even millions of miracle cures that happen on that day and so forth, then we'll all know that one that we've been watching on TV for some time is Maitreya. Now, but then people will be like, now what? That's not the end all and be all of it. So these masters, along with their groups of disciples, will start to educate humanity on different things. And then, of course, the first thing that Maitreya is going to advocate once the Day of Declaration happens, he'll be talking about it, I'm sure, beforehand, but in terms of now we really need to do it, is the principle of sharing. We have to do this right now. Now, the I guess X factor, I would say, or the factor that we need to think about when we look at this information in the way that we look at it, is Maitreya on that Day of Declaration will give humanity a vision of what will happen if we don't institute the principle of sharing or implement the principle of sharing. He will also give us a vision of what will happen if we do. So we will see it from Maitreya's perspective in a way that only Maitreya can present to humanity, that no other person, even Maitreya, probably even himself, just trying to explain the need for sharing, right, in the way that he's done these many years, it won't have the same impact, because we will see it in the same vision that he sees it. So, and we'll all have the same vision. Now, there will be those who decide not to help, and there will be those who decide to help. And once humanity is set on this is what we need to do, and are inspired to do it, and galvanized to do it under the leadership of Maitreya, there won't be a government in the world that could withstand that force. And that's really where we're coming in today. I think that to answer or to kind of address the 1 to 3 years from ICU to UCME, it really is like that window of opportunity, the way I see it, is coming up, if it's not already started to come up, is because of the suffering that humanity is going through right now. Now, it doesn't seem like it because nobody's really talking about it in the media as much. But as the winter comes on, as more and more people are unemployed for longer, as the unemployment benefits run out, as maybe the virus keeps getting stronger, I don't know, hopefully not, as of course the social unrest keeps going, of course the suffering and the fear and all that stuff will start to play into it, and people will start to look for a new way, like maybe what we're doing is not working, and that's where I think that window of opportunity is starting to come in. But as Benjamin Creme himself said, there's the other side of the forces of darkness who have been working along with their group in the same way, to try to keep this from happening. And they're very well financed, and they're very, a lot more financed than the other group, the other side right now, believe me. So it's just, they have their advantages, and that's one of them they got some serious money, because of course those people with money want to keep that money. They don't want to give it up. So that's the reason why I think they have more advantage. But he said how they're affecting political groups, religious groups, the media, everybody's involved in it, and they're using their influence to keep this from happening as long as they can. So hopefully that answers that question. But thank you so much for the questions, guys. And like I said, hopefully I answered them. Now, for those of us who have taken the time to listen to this video for 25 minutes, the most wonderful thing is about to happen. And you're about to hear some ideas coming from one of the masters, not being channeled through me, just being read out of a book that you yourself can read, A Master Speaks, which are articles that the master wrote every month through Benjamin Creme in Share International magazine. And as I always say as a disclaimer, it's always better for you to read this on your own. All right, so we've got that out of the way. Now, this one is entitled, A Gift from the Highest. Men stand at a point of revelation which soon will sweep away discord, voices, and attitudes. They will know more keenly the meaning and purpose of their existence and the means by which that knowledge is brought into their awareness. Soon, very soon now, men will grow overnight, as it were. This new knowledge will chasten and surprise many, but inspire and enlighten them into a complete adjustment of their understanding. This will give a new value to what they call the meaning and purpose of life. A greater seriousness and a greater joy will permeate their beliefs and actions and gradually involve them all together in a new dispensation. The time is not far off. The great Lord is eager to appear and to grace the world by his open, recognized presence. Have no fear. A new world is in the making, which will restore men's faith and courage in equal order. Remember to take action and help SOP save our planet. Thanks for listening, and we look forward to talking to you again in future videos.